We know quite a bit about the natural world, and we learn more and more each year. Scientists trek all over the world to learn about ecosystems, climate problems, animal behavior, and more. But there is one big part of the world where we still don't know very much: the ocean. It's vast and vicious, and there are plenty of things like purple orb, the bloop, that still, even after a lot of research, scientists can't explain. And today we'll look at the biggest mysteries of the ocean. But before we move, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Now, with that said, let's begin with number 15, rogue waves. The name says it all. You don't need a degree to see danger. Rogue waves have been reported by sailors across the world for centuries. Again and again, they swore by God it was real. The sea would behave a certain way, predictable, turbulent, but consistent, and then suddenly, out of nowhere and without a single warning, bam! A rogue wave would rise from the deep and tower far above every other wave in sight. In many cases, waves like that would toss guys overboard and leave them to drown. In the worst ones, they capsized ships and wiped out entire crews. But science was skeptical. For years, they dismissed these stories as exaggerations or panic-induced miscalculations. That changed on January 1st, 1995. A wave, 25.6 meters tall, struck the Dropner gas platform. It was real. It was big. And it made science shut up. 3 decades later, we still don't know what causes rogue waves. They exist, they hit, and we're still in the dark. Number 14, Yonauni Monument. The origin of the Yonauni Monument still baffles experts. It's an underwater rock structure that was discovered in the mid-1980s near Yonauni Island in Japan. Some think it is a man-made stepped pyramid-like geyser, especially as certain rocks appear to have carvings on them. There are also other weird formations nearby which have led some to believe it could be the stuff of an ancient submerged city, at least 5,000 years old, and belong to a lost civilization, possibly the legendary Mu or Lemuria. However, other researchers believe that the monument is a natural formation, not human-made, just underwater currents. Those in this camp believe that the symmetry of the rocks is not as pronounced as some have said, and that the structure is made out of solid rocks rather than distinct blocks, which would be proof of our involvement. Now, they also argue that the carvings are actually naturally occurring scratches. What do you think of it? Number 13, giant squid. And then there's the kind of thing that shouldn't be hard to find, but somehow still is. Our best estimate is that the giant squid grows up to 43 feet long, with some unverified accounts putting it closer to 60. And yet, for most of recorded history, we only knew it existed because pieces of it would wash up on shore. It wasn't photographed alive until 2004, and the first video footage didn't come until 2012, captured deep in the ocean off the coast of Japan. We still don't know much about how it lives, where it reproduces, or how long it survives. And its cousin, the colossal squid? We know even less. As of now, we've only ever filmed a 1-foot juvenile, and that was back in 2007. Adults are shorter than giant squid, but far bulkier. Some could weigh over 1,100 pounds, and no one has ever witnessed a fully grown one alive. It's still winning at hide and seek. Number 12, the Bioduck. Way back in 1960, submarine personnel in a vessel recorded a sound being made deep in the waters of the Southern Ocean. Now just hear it for yourself. This is far weirder than a platypus. It's bizarre and completely unknown. Those who listened to the recording thought the same as I think. It sounded like a deep sea quacking, almost like a duck. So that's how it got its name. Now, the problem is that nobody knew anything else at all about this sound, where it came from, or who, or what, was making it. After 10 decades of analysis, in 2014, scientists finally figured out what was making the sound. According to them, Antarctic minke whales are responsible for the Bioduck call. But beyond that, scientists still don't know why the sound is being made or who it is meant for. It is most often detected during austral winter in the Southern Ocean, far off Australia, and interestingly, the sound is very often heard in waters closer to the surface. Number 11. The Twilight Zone. Now it's a common fact. The deeper you go, the weirder things get. When you go a few hundred meters below, the light starts fading fast. About 656 feet down the floor, you hit a zone officially called the Mesopelagic, but most people just call it the Twilight Zone. That's where sunlight almost completely disappears, and the deeper you go from there, the darker it gets until you're in total blackness. And as the sunlight disappears, so does our understanding of what's going on down there. 200 meters might not sound that deep compared to the full ocean, but our scientific grasp pretty much stops cold right there. Now don't just take my word for it. Expert Andone Lavery from Woods Hole said it best. It's almost easier to define it by what we don't know. It's deep, it's remote, it's unpredictable, and even getting cameras that far down messes everything up. Light changes the scene, and what lives there stays hidden. That's mysterious. Number 10. Isla Bermeha. Now, let's talk about something that's only gotten more confusing the more people looked into it. For centuries, maps of Mexico's coastline displayed a tiny island named Isla Bermeha. It even appeared on a Spanish chart from 1539. But by the 2000s, it had totally vanished. Naval scans, aerial searches, nothing. Just empty sea. That alone is strange, but then it turned political. Mexico had claimed oil rights in the area, and when the island couldn't be located, those claims collapsed. Some believe it may have sunk during an earthquake. Others think it never existed to begin with, that it was likely a centuries-old cartographic mistake that kept getting copied. Well, whatever the case, Isla Bermeja simply disappeared without a trace, and no one has been able to rediscover it. For something that remained on maps for centuries, its sudden vanishing act has become one of the weirdest maritime mysteries in Mexican history and maybe the world. Number 9. Blue whales. If you thought a 40-foot squid was hard to study, try tracking the largest creature that's ever lived. Blue whales are big. Yet thanks to industrial whaling wiping out most of their population during the 20th century and their incredibly slow reproduction, they're now extremely rare, and not to mention evasive, which makes researching them feel more like guesswork than actual science. From what we've gathered, they feed alone, migrate huge distances, and occasionally travel in loose groups. But that's about it. In 2017, scientists off the coast of Sri Lanka used drones to film several male blue whales pursuing a female. What they witnessed was something called a heat run, a behavior seen in humpbacks, but never before recorded in blue whales. It gave scientists a rare glimpse into how these animals might interact and compete. And it was a stark reminder that for the planet's largest animal, we still understand shockingly little to nothing. Number 8. The Milky Seas. Now, what do you make of something that appears in the ocean, but sounds more like a ghost story? Sailors have described Milky Seas for centuries, massive patches of water that glow eerily at night, as if the ocean turned to liquid moonlight. For generations, no one took the report seriously. But in recent decades, satellite imagery finally confirmed their existence. They're real, and they are super enormous. Some of these glowing regions span more than 38,000 square miles. The most accepted theory? Swarms of bioluminescent bacteria activate in unison. But the strange part is, we don't know why. We don't know how they coordinate, what causes the reaction, or what conditions need to align to trigger it. The glow can last for days, even weeks. But as far as understanding the how or why behind the display, we're still in the dark. It's a light show happening on a planetary scale, with no clear cause to explain it. Number 7. Life's origin. Life as we know it on Earth began around 4 billion years ago. But where those earliest simple cells first emerged and sparked everything we know today is still a mystery. Many experts think it may have occurred deep in the farthest corners of the sea. In 2017, a group of paleontologists found microscopic tubes and filaments made of hematite, an iron-rich material. These tubes were embedded in rocks dating back between 3.77 and 4.28 billion years. The rocks came from Earth's ancient ocean crust. Usually, the seafloor gets dragged into the mantle and recycled, but these fragments didn't. That gave scientists a possible breakthrough. Back in the 1990s, a NASA chemist suggested life began inside hydrothermal vents, specifically in the rocky pores of their chimneys. Most vents are too hot and acidic. But the Lost City, a rare vent system in the Atlantic, has just the right alkaline conditions. Some scientists think that's where it all began. Number 6. Alaska's Golden Orb. Alaska delivered something that looked less like a living organism and more like lost property. In 2024, scientists aboard NOAA's Okeanos Explorer discovered a strange golden sphere resting 2 miles beneath the ocean's surface. It was lodged against a rock, smooth, gleaming, and slightly metallic under the submarine's lights, with a hole on one end, as if something had pierced it, or emerged from it. They had absolutely no idea what it was. It didn't resemble any known organism, coral, or geological structure. It wasn't radioactive or clearly hazardous. It simply didn't belong. The team recovered the object and brought it to the surface for testing. But so far, researchers still haven't identified what it's made of or what category it even falls into. NOAA released the footage online, sparking countless wild theories. But there are real answers. Number 5. Ocean mud. As if the mysteries of the deepest waters of the ocean weren't strange enough on their own, there is another major question down there that scientists still can't answer. What's going on with the mud that rests just beneath the bottom of the ocean? That layer of mud and settled silt is commonly referred to as the Mohorovičić discontinuity. It's one of the most mysterious parts of the entire planet, while still holding importance for how the Earth works, how tectonic plates shift, how earthquakes form, and more. Around 60 years ago, scientists came up with a bold idea. They wanted to drill straight through the ocean floor and see if they could bore into the mud way down there. The goal was to reach the Mohorovičić discontinuity and hopefully extract a real piece of the Earth's mantle. That deep layer has never been seen by humans. The idea failed. Today's experts still hope new tech might make it happen. Until then, we know nothing. Number 4. Upsweep. On a completely different note, do you remember the mystery of the bloop? If you've spent time with ocean mystery lists, especially ours, you've definitely heard about it. It was a huge, echoing sound picked up in the Pacific in 1997 that left scientists baffled. For years, theories ranged from giant sea monsters to alien transmissions. Then, in 2005, the mystery was cracked. It was icebergs breaking apart. Or so we thought. Because just as we crossed that one off the list, a new sound appeared. Upsweep. It's a strange humming noise, recorded since 1991, mostly in the Pacific, and it returns every year like clockwork, usually during spring or fall. NOAA suspects it may be tied to volcanic activity or hydrothermal vents. But the weird part is that no volcano has ever been found to match, and it doesn't sound like whales, sonar, or anything mechanical we know of. Another sound, another mystery, and no explanation in sight. It's just mind-baffling. Number 3, the missing plastic. Let's talk about the trash we've dumped into the ocean that somehow can't be found. Every year, roughly 8 million tons of plastic enter the sea. We've tracked it. We know where it should be. But when scientists investigate the open ocean, most of that plastic is nowhere to be found. Some of it washes up on beaches, some floats in the oceanic garbage patches. But compared to how much we're dumping, it's a fraction. Some researchers think it degrades into microplastics. Others suggest it sinks into deep-sea trenches or gets consumed by filter feeders. Still, none of those theories fully account for the massive shortfall. The numbers simply don't align. We've created a crisis of global scale, but the ocean has swallowed most of the evidence. And until we understand where all that plastic ends up, we're not just facing pollution, we're facing a mystery inside the mess we made ourselves. And this is not good at all. Number 2. The Lost Liner. Well, this one didn't echo, rumble, or make any noise. It simply vanished. In July 1909, the SS Waratah departed Durban en route to Cape Town, and then nothing. The ship disappeared. All 211 people aboard, the cargo, the lifeboats, the deck chairs, not a single sign. The Waratah was nearly 500 feet long, weighed over 9,000 tons, and was built for both passenger travel and freight hauling. You'd assume something would eventually surface. But search crews scoured the coastline for weeks and came up with nothing. Some believe a rogue wave struck it. Others blame unstable cargo or a design issue. But more than a century later, and even with sonar mapping and multiple advanced expeditions, we're still left with an unsolved disappearance and no real explanation. The SS Waratah was here, then gone, and whatever happened that day has remained buried beneath the waves, untouched and unresolved to this very day. Number 1. California's seafloor. Everything unusual on the seafloor stands out. Some of it sinks in. Recent ocean mapping off Central California's coast revealed thousands of strange pits and depressions in the seafloor. The largest of them spans nearly 200 meters across and stretches hundreds of meters deep. Scattered between them are much smaller ones, just a few meters wide. Altogether, the region looks like it's been pelted by a giant underwater dartboard. Typically, seafloor pockmarks form when gas escapes from beneath the ocean floor. But water samples from this zone came back negative. No methane, oil, or trace of anything expected. So for now, scientists are stuck with nothing more than a sea full of unexplained holes. We don't know what they are, and frankly, that's still more than we've managed to figure out in some other regions that are even better studied. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you very soon.